Well, Mark, 11 games left, and it remains the case that anything is possible. But I guess with every match that goes by, it just means that the margin for error gets smaller.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that depends on other results as well. But for us, the story doesn't change really, does it? We've got to win games and get more of them. Performances like Tuesday lead us the right way towards them. So it was probably 2 points lost really on Tuesday. It felt more like a defeat than a draw. But the performance level was very good, and that's the bit we can control massively. So we've got to try to do that again this weekend. A win changes everything, and we want to go into the final 10 games right in the race. And there's a fair few teams in it, so having still got to play a number of them, I think we're playing well. I think the performance levels have been good, and I think we're probably a handful of points down on where we deserve to be in the last 5-6 weeks. So everything's steering in the right direction for us. We've just got to put the finishing touches on that, and in trying to do that, not lose the good stuff that's been the foundation of our performances and the level that we've been hitting. So if we can do that, it'll be a brilliant game this weekend, and certainly different to the circumstances of having played them the last few times we've been there.
As you can imagine, we've spent a fair bit of time on the radio of late working out or trying to work out exactly what you might need points-wise. Do you have any sort of target in mind, or is it completely futile when you get to this point? Because unlike, I guess, other stages of a season, what other teams do is crucial. Yeah,
I think you're right. I think at the beginning, 50 is always a number that gets mentioned, but it might not need to be that. So the way you look at it now is such a moving target. And you just assess that as you go. I think we obviously need to firstly concentrate on clawing back the small gap there is to the few above us, and then after that we'll just see where that goes. But I think it's so silly, it's just a small thing to say, but when you're in the run we are, it's as simple as win the next game, because we have to win games. So win the next game, and then just whatever else happens, but that's the bit that we're in control of. So I think for our point of view, if you try and look too far into how many wins we need, the reality is we need one quickly, and the sooner we get one, then we've got to try and get the next one. So our focus has got to be on, can we hit the level that we've been hitting? Can we put the finishing touches on the performances? Can we win the game when it's there for us to be won? And make sure we get as many points out of this batch of games as possible. But a win would breathe life into everybody. There's 11 games. There's a lot of football still to play, and we should be really encouraged by the level that we've been finding the last few weeks.
With this week, similar pattern to a couple of weeks ago, where you had the two good performances, the midweek game, and then it didn't work out at Exeter. To what degree will that inform the team selection for this weekend? And I guess I'm hinting towards the degree to which you might want to mix things up.
Well, a little bit of that will probably be dependent on how the boys report this morning, and seeing how they are. It's certainly not unusual to play 3-game weeks. It's the 3-game weeks that we have found really difficult over our time in this league is when we've played back-to-back against top teams. That's always been really hard for us. And that week in particular was a stupid week in the fixture list, really, that we had to go opposite ends of the country and lost a night's sleep during that week, which always has a big impact, and it had a big impact on us then. So the circumstances going into this game are very different. Doesn't take away the fact that there is an element there that could say some freshness is required, but you want to get the balance right of making changes from a team that's playing really well to giving us enough energy and a little boost if we need it, in order to do the same things again. We've spoken recently a little bit about the consistency of the team, and I think that what that's given us is a real clear identity playing in the way that we are at the moment, and there's been some very common traits, and too many changes, so that might disrupt the performance level, which is the most important thing we've got to look after. So we'll look at that over the next couple of days. We're a little bit challenged, I think, with the conditions over the next couple of days on the training ground. Obviously, I'm sure people have got it worse than us, but it's pretty wet over the next few days. So that might impact a little bit how much we can do outside, and then it'll just be a case of seeing who's fit and if anyone's carrying anything. There's no problems to be aware of from the game. Everyone came through the game fine, but we just need to make sure that people have got the energy and the legs to go and compete again.
Yeah, and crucially as well, you're now in a position where you have got one or two back, and presumably you've been really pleased with what the likes of Steve Sedner and Liam O'Neill have done off the bench.
Yeah, I think in both cases building up those game minutes is really key, because we want them for that 10-game run at the end of the season, and we want to make sure that they're available for real competition in those. And I think what it will do is get the best out of others as well. I'm really pleased with with Connor and Jack in the midfield. I think they've been excellent. And I also think that Bros is playing really well as well. So it creates a real competition in those positions, which is what we need. It's what we've needed. And hopefully they can continue to contribute between now and the end of the season.
Does Harvey have a chance of being involved at all?
He does, yeah. We'll see how he trained hard Tuesday. So if he can get through the next 2 days okay and get some good sessions over the next couple of days with those that need it, then he'll have a good chance of being involved at the weekend.
Yeah, and as you say, you typically, when you've gone to Stadium MK, you've been going up against really in-form MK Dons sides. Not the same this time around. In fact, their home form has been their real issue.
Yeah, no, home form against away form this weekend. So it'll be an interesting one to see how that one plans out. But it's a game we've got to go and attack and try to win for sure. And they'll be in exactly the same boat. And them being at home, we know that adds extra pressure. You know, the pressure's on them to win. They have to win. We've got that same sort of intent on us, but they'll obviously have the home backing to put them under that added pressure. So they'll have to cope with that, and we'll have to cope with. I think we'll have nearly 2,000 there, which is great. We're always really well supported when we go there. And we've had a couple of horrible trips when we've been there in recent seasons, but I think the difference this time is both teams have had a very, very tough year, whereas the previous years we've been going up against a team that's chased promotion, got promoted in one of the seasons we played them, and almost got promoted last season when we played them. So certainly a different dynamic this time around in where both teams are and the seasons that both are having. Pressure's on both of us really to go and deliver and put in performances, but I think we're buoyed by the performance level, frustrated by the results, but got plenty of energy left in us to go and fight it out.